Well, there's no problem if you...
What's up, everybody? I want to talk about how we could save the movie Captain Marvel, or the character Captain Marvel in the MCU. This has been something that I'm very passionate about. I think about it a lot, and I rant to my friends and my family about what they could have done to make Captain Marvel amazing and what they could change and a game plan. So, first off, the biggest problem with Captain Marvel, unfortunately, is Brie Larson.
Is that like a personal attack or something?
So she has two problems. One, her character in the MCU is not likable, not charismatic. She has a massive ego. And she's the same behind the camera. When she's talking in interviews, she has a problem with not coming off as very charismatic. And it's just not likable. And so you kind of, anyone that likes her character in the show, it's like you have a hard time excusing some of the behavior you see outside of it. So there's two problems. There's a marketing problem and there's just a writing character problem. So there's two problems, and I'm going to address how you could fix them and something that they could do to make it better. So just from the PR standpoint, from dealing with Brie Larson, she probably needs some coaching and training on being a little bit more charismatic. It's okay to not agree with everyone, but also it's okay not to always have to feel like you share your opinion, especially if you have a really strong political opinion. Sometimes it's like, know your audience, and yeah, just be like, okay, Disney has made a mistake by oversharing where they line up politically, and I think that's a huge miss. I think that when you do that, you're picking a side, and it's better to stay apolitical. Just stay out of it. Entertain family, friends. Like, you don't need to pick a side. I would have been mad if they would have even picked more of a right thing and been like talking about things that are more right, like gun rights or something. Don't pick a side. It's so much better to stay apolitical as a company and focus on your product. The other thing is, I feel like this is a general problem that Star Wars and Marvel and Disney in general has, is these actors and actresses don't respect the original creations. So there's right currently in 2023, it feels like there's just this almost like resentment towards the original writing. There's no respect for the original writing and artistry. It's just, this was bad and our version is going to be better. And here's what we're going to do to make it way better than the old one. It's just, there's a lack of respect and it comes off. And so you're already isolating. So from a marketing standpoint, you're already damaging and you're showing disrespect towards that fan group. You're starting to isolate, and so it looks like you hate the original content, and it looks like you don't even enjoy what you're doing, and it comes off not good at all. People like people that are more approachable, they're humble, they don't have a massive ego. So there's some of the PR stuff. So now let's talk a little bit about the writing. So this is all about saving Captain Marvel. So the big problem in the last movie is she was Mary Sue. She was invincible, powerful. She did everything right. She was the coolest. She never actually had any growth. The character from the beginning and the end are the same. The only thing that changed, she got that little thing off her neck and she had even more power, but she was already overpowered. So you have a character that does this. It's just flatline the entire time. And no one can relate to that. And this brings up another issue with modern writing of female characters in particular. I feel like a lot of writers they're afraid to show a female in a weak position. Every female has to be strong all the time. But no female or male or anyone can relate to that at all. So you're talking to an audience that doesn't exist. You're talking to this weird, obscure delusion that is not reality. Every person struggles, every person makes mistakes, every person hurts and fails, and they do not show that. So if they would have had her character in the first movie, so this is if they would have had her fail most of the movie, and you feel bad for her, and she's getting humbled, and then something changes in her that makes her the best version of herself and come out of it stronger and better. But that didn't happen. And we got this massive ego, and the interviews are bad, and it just looked bad. And I think people at the time were still giving Marvel a chance, and they're like, okay, maybe they can course correct. But Brie Larson and her character Captain Marvel got a lot of flack, and I think that this is going to hurt the future of her character. And she said in interviews, do you even want me to play the character? And it's like, Brie, you can do it by making some changes. And I would even say Disney has to make these changes. These writers, I don't know what's going on. They either all need to be fired and we need whole new writers, but these people need to think in reality. What the characters are writing are not relatable. That's the biggest problem, and no one cares. You just don't care. The other problem is consequences. There are no stakes. Now Disney is writing characters that are they're misunderstood. There never is like a actually bad character. And when you have a bad character or an antagonist, you can understand their motivation. You can understand them and not agree with them. They can be really evil, but you understand their motivation. But the writing now is, bad characters, just misunderstood, really not that bad. They're just misunderstood, all of them. And it's like, that's not reality. People do things for a reason, and unfortunately, some people do terrible things, and there are people that do bad things, and they're not misunderstood. It's just like they're just evil. And I think if you have a character that's actually bad and evil, it raises the stakes because there's consequences. But when you have everyone that's generic and there's no problem and there's just no consequences. You have no contrast. You don't have your protagonist's goals and your antagonist's goals crossing, and they both are motivated. There's nothing like that. They are just, you just don't understand me. And it's like, all right. So let's talk about how we could save Captain Marvel if this other Marvel movie wasn't coming out. This is how I would have started it. And I would start off before the movie, before I even see the title, I would want to see Captain Marvel's character getting beat out of her. So I want to see her character fail incredibly, because she's here. She believes she's here. She is this thing that's the best. I want to see, Galactus or someone punching her into the core of a dead planet. I want to see her she's done. She's completely ruined. Her suit gets destroyed. Her ego is completely smashed. She needs to hit a metaphorical rock bottom. That's what we're going to do with her character. So we're going to have her, boom, hit rock bottom. And then throughout the story, we're going to have her learning about herself. And the way I would have written the story is she maybe would have met other characters on this like destroyed planet, right? The survivors. And at the beginning, she still has she's doubting herself, but she still has this ego of, I don't need anyone. I can do it myself. And her whole story would be about her realizing that being humble and being willing, that you are the best version of yourself when you have people around you that you love. That would be like the core thing I would have in her. So she would get humbled. And it would happen over and over. Like that would just be the beginning. And then maybe she tries and she fails again and again. Throughout the whole movie, she's just failing. And then she has to hit a point where she's completely stripped and she realizes that the thing that she thought was giving her power isn't what she thinks it is. It's not her being amazing. It's using those things. You're stronger with other people. So maybe she has a character that's trying to teach these lessons, and because of her ego, again, this person maybe dies. And that's maybe the final like breaking point for her character, when she's like, I'm the problem. You know what I mean? Like, it's me, it's the way I'm perceiving the world. And that would make her character much more relatable. People are going to be like, oh my gosh, I've been there, where my ego has hurt other people. My whatever has pushed people away. That to me would make her character so much more relatable. I think people connect to her and they'd be like, oh my gosh, yes, I have felt this in my life. I hear you, I get you. And then we're rooting for her. So now we have an underdog. Great. So now we created a character people can connect to. We created a character that has made a good change within herself. Now we're like, come on. And we've seen her fail over and over. So now it's like the stakes are huge. We need to raise the stakes. Maybe the alien creature that got killed because of her, Galactus is going to go to that planet and destroy it too. And so she realizes, I can't do this alone. And she builds a team together, and they work together. And she even you have a moment in the very end where you think she's going to win, but she sees someone else is going to die. She sacrifices herself. She almost gets wiped out. And then the very last moment, somehow they stop the enemy. She learns and grows through this. By the end of the movie, completely different character. Like, where you're like, this can't be Captain Marvel. By the beginning and the end of the movie, you're like, this is a whole new person. And I feel like people would connect to that on an emotional level. And then I think people would actually be like, you know what? I think we should give Brie Larson a chance. I think we should keep I want to see what happens next. Where is this character going? Like, how is she going to change and grow? You can do it. You can have a character with a massive ego, but you show that is also their detriment. It can work together. I think of Tony Stark, the first Iron Man movie. Massive ego, but you see he gets captured and fails, almost dies, and comes back and realizes that he still is like confident, but he realizes that his ego and his power hungry self was the problem. They did it in a tasteful way, and now everyone loves him. And not only that, but you look at his character is very like him as an actor, Robert Downey Jr., and he's very charismatic. He comes off very likable. He doesn't come off like this massive ego, like, I'm the best, I'm the hero. You don't want to do that. It's a charismatic thing. So there we go. From the PR standpoint, character writing point, I feel like that would be a better Marvel movie and Captain Marvel movie. So let me know what you think of that. I just have all these thoughts, and I'm going to do more of these. I want to do one about Snow White and other things. But let me know what you think. Subscribe, follow, like, all that stuff. Thanks.